Life is literally in our hands.
We got a ball.
That's what we fight for. We fight for life.
Jesus.
Now at 11, former President Trump indicted. Tonight, what we're learning about the 7 federal charges as he's set to face a judge on Tuesday. Good evening, everyone. I'm Carolyn Johnson. Colleen is off. This indictment is linked to more than 100 classified documents discovered last year at his Mar-a-Lago resort. NBC4's Darsha Phillips is in our newsroom now with a closer look at that indictment. Darsha.
Yeah, Carolyn, this is a moment that is as unsettling as it is historic. This is the first time a former president has been indicted on federal charges. And Donald Trump is also running for president in 2024. Mr. Trump announced the indictment and declared his innocence on social media today.
Former U.S. President Donald Trump facing a federal indictment charged with 7 counts relating to top secret and classified documents. Prosecutors say Trump took those documents from the White House and hid them at his Mar-a-Lago estate. The indictment is sealed, but sources tell NBC News the charges include making false statements and conspiracy to obstruct.
And he'll go through the normal process that all federal defendants go through, including being processed by the FBI and the federal marshals. He'll be fingerprinted. There'll be a mugshot taken. That mugshot will not be released.
The former president facing federal charges from the special counsel at the same time he's trying to unseat President Biden in next year's presidential election. The former president posted a video on Truth Social declaring his innocence.
They come after Donald Trump, weaponizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the FBI. We can't let this continue to go on because it's ripping our country to shreds.
The independent special counsel Jack Smith, who's running the investigation, had originally convened a grand jury in Washington, D.C., but appears to have shifted to Florida, where more than 100 classified documents were discovered at Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate last year. Also under scrutiny, whether the former president obstructed the federal government's efforts to get the materials back. Legal experts say the indictments or even a conviction wouldn't keep Trump from running because there's nothing in the Constitution that prohibits it.
Now, this is the second time the former president has been charged criminally this year. The Manhattan District Attorney charged Trump with falsifying business in April. Live in the newsroom tonight, I'm Darsha Phillips, NBC4 News.
Joining us now to break down this indictment is Loyola law professor Jessica Levinson. Jessica, by now most people know about that indictment in Manhattan by the district attorney there over hush money paid to Stormy Daniels. Why is this indictment more significant?
I think it's more significant because, in part, it goes to the heart of the former president's ability to be somebody who serves the public. This really is about taking the people's documents, government documents that potentially implicate national security concerns, and not giving them back to the government, failing to do so upon request, upon a subpoena, then ultimately being subject to a search warrant. And if the reporting indicates, as it does, that the charges here include conspiracy to obstruct justice, that means the former president created an agreement with somebody else to try and hide these documents, which, again, might be highly sensitive documents that potentially put our country at risk. So in that way, I think it's very different from the hush money payments, which, while still important, feel qualitatively different to me.
So there was speculation this could have been filed in Washington, D.C. or Miami. Now we know it's Miami. How does that impact the former president?
Well, I think it is good for him in the sense that Florida went for him in the 2020 election and the 2016 election. And so it is going to be likely that he has at least some members of a jury, if this does go to a jury trial, and that's a big if, who are political supporters of his. I will say, I think we need to be a little careful about that because in my experience, when jurors go into that jury box, they take their job really seriously and they might have political views one way or another, but they take their job of applying the facts to the law and they really do it carefully. So yes, we see it as potentially harder for the prosecution, but I think this is where venue is proper.
It makes sense since this took place in Florida. Now, the indictment in New York certainly helped Trump's fundraising. Is the same bump expected again here? And what does this mean going forward for the race for president?
So I think we could potentially see the same bump because the former president has been saying to